connected and was passionate about him not being president. That goes to motive right there. Now, I want to talk to you about the State of the Union. We were down there together. And, you know, the president made a lot of great points about unemployment, black unemployment. Yet, despite those things being good for America, many people on the Democratic side of the aisle did not applaud or stand. Let's see that.
After years and years of wage stagnation, we are finally seeing rising wages. African American unemployment stands at the lowest rate ever recorded. I halted government mandates that crippled America's great, beautiful auto workers so that we can get Motor City revving its engines again, and that's what's happening.
You know what it reminds me of? It's like not rooting for America during the Olympics because you don't like the president.
I said it in tweets a while ago. They would rather see America fail than to succeed with Donald Trump at the helm. If Donald Trump came out and said he's all for oxygen, they would stop breathing.
Maybe he should do that.
I think it's a great idea.
I'm kidding. No offense, liberals.
The derangement is real. I mean, for the Congressional Black Caucus to not stand up for all-time low African-American unemployment, that's crazy. I will with Pastor Darrell Scott, who's a friend of ours. I mean, he literally said, wait a second, guys. Would you rather see high numbers so you can continue to peddle the hate against Trump, continue to do this? Who wins? Like, we should all be rooting for success for our people. And I think real Americans are starting to see that, Jesse.
I think they are, too, because it's just plain as day on the screen. It almost reminds me of the DACA deal. Your father's putting out a very generous offer about a pathway to citizenship in conjunction with wall funding, 3 times more than the past president did. Very generous, yet I don't believe they want to solve the dreamer thing. I think deep down they want to force someone to start deporting people. They like the issue to campaign on because they exploit it for votes.
It's because all they have.
They do.
If they don't have that to complain about, what are they going to complain about? All-time high stock market, all-time low unemployment, all sorts of minority unemployments, bonuses being paid by companies, hundreds of billions of dollars already coming back in because of tax reform. What's their platform for 18? We want to make America worse again? I don't understand.
What are they going to do in the midterms? Because a lot of Democrats are going to be running in districts that it was close with Hillary and Trump, so, you know, they're going to have to try to play to the middle. Are they going to say we're against bonuses? Are they going to say we're against low unemployment? Are they going to say we're against rising paychecks and go along with Pelosi and Schumer? Or are they going to say, yeah, we recognize the economy's good, here's how the Democrat Party can make it better?
You know, I think they're going to go with the former only because they can't help themselves at this point. I mean, they're
going to lose if they do that.
That's great. I agree. But I think the problem is rather than being reasonable and coming to the table, they force themselves further and further and further left. I mean, they're left of commie right now. And that's a real problem for them because I don't think that's where America was. I think that's the lesson they learned from the election is, wait a minute, we need to be further radical left. And I don't think that's true. I think people want some moderation in their thought and from their leaders.
And the Democratic brains have come to the conclusion that this is going to be a wave election in the midterms, and they've been basically thinking it's been a lock and they don't really have to do much and just run on Trump hatred. But some new polls have come out. Now look at this. Donald Trump's approval rating skyrocketing, okay? He's now up at 42%. It's a 10-point jump since the last poll. And I think we have another poll, too. I believe the tracking poll, Rasmussen, very trustworthy guy, has him at 49%. There's another poll that shows, I think, a tie in the generic congressional ballot head-to-head between Republicans and Democrats. It's not a lock that the Democrats are going to take back the House.
And by the way, don't kid yourself. Some of those polls are also understating, as they always do with Trump.
Well, they did during the last election.
Because there are people not willing to take the heat. They'll say, you know what, it's easier for them to say, no, 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 I'm not for Trump. We had that with our own polling. We would call people, no, no, I'm not voting for Trump. So we started asking, who's your neighbor voting for? Oh, that guy's voting for Trump. You know, they wouldn't admit it because of the fictitious narrative put out there by the media. I saw one of the polls that said basically Trump's tied with Obama's approval rating at the same time in their presidencies. Now imagine you had the media basically being your biggest cheerleader like Obama did versus your biggest detractor. I mean, think about the difference there. and what that would mean in terms of those numbers. But again, because of all of this stuff coming out, because of all of the disinformation that's been propagated, people are starting to finally see the truth. And the one thing I'll say about my father, he's got a big soapbox and he's not afraid to use it.
That's for sure.
He's willing to fight back. And that's the first time Republicans have ever done that. I had more people last week say, wait a minute, what happens? The Republicans didn't just arbitrarily cave for no reason whatsoever? Like, this is new. Republicans are actually getting used to being able to win again. And that's a big deal.
All right, well, your father's definitely taken a lot of heat.
Yes.
And Hillary had the memo on her side. She had the media on her side. She had the money on her side. She had an incumbent president on her side. Mm-hmm. And she still lost, Don Jr.
It's
amazing that Dad even won.
Hard. Well, listen, I don't think it is because I saw the enthusiasm gap.
Yeah, but I mean, what a headwind.
They had it, but you know what? When you look at the way she worked, if she did one, maybe two events a day, it was a miracle. He was out there speaking to real people. He can do that. He could have conversations with people, even from a stump. Whereas she was lecturing people. This is what you have to do. I mean, there were times on the campaign trail where I'd be in the same market that she or Tim Kaine had been in the last couple of days, and I'm drawing 10x what the actual. I was like, "Are you sure they know it's Junior? Because I don't want to get sued for misrepresentation here."
Right.
You know, and there was just such an enthusiasm gap. People needed someone who could actually relate. And the irony of all ironies is that it took the billionaire from New York to be able to relate to middle-class, blue-collar America. But that's what he did. And that's what's so incredible about it.
All right, Don Jr., thanks for coming into Waters World.
Thanks a lot, man. Good to see you.
All right, we'll be right back. More insight coming out from the newly released memo alleging widespread abuses by the FBI and the Department of Justice. Here with her reaction, the host of Michelle Malkin Investigates on CRTV.com, Michelle Malkin. All right, so what's your quick take on the memo?
Well, before it came out, I said that what we were seeing was indications not only of a corruption of our core intelligence infrastructure, but of fundamental corruption of our media establishment. And this confirms it. If you look at the way that this memo highlights how the DNC and Fusion GPS were manipulating this sacred process, as President Trump put it, of approving these FISA warrants and handling very sensitive, classified information, and then using the media to corroborate what the DNC said, even though there was collusion between Fusion GPS and these very media sources who were being used to confirm this phony evidence.
So, you know, Hillary's foreign agent, Steele, who hated Donald Trump and said that, we see in the memo, he was peddling this fake news to the press, and then the Department of Justice was using that fake news to bolster their argument to get the wiretap approval by the judge.
Yeah.
It's like a circular confirmation.
It is. It is the textbook definition of an echo chamber, and there are at least two media names in here that were name-checked. Michael Isikoff, formerly of Newsweek, and then apparently at Yahoo News by the time he was working on this, as well as David Korn. And so...
and these are very left-wing reporters, both of them. Korn a little bit more so. But Isikoff, good investigative reporter, but does not like Republicans.
Yeah, that's right. And so clearly the media bias that was involved here, heaped on top of the vile bias of the Democratic operatives, really... It shakes the trust of the American public to its core. And if I were a judge on the FISA court, I'd be questioning the veracity and the integrity of so many of these applications, which may have rested on the same kind of Democratic opposition research.
Because the judge in a lot of these applications was not told the truth. It looks like, according to the memo, which we have right here, they hid the Hillary financial connection from the judge. They hid the Fusion GPS connection from the judge. So the judge is signing off on things that he doesn't really understand the basis of because he's being lied to by federal officials in the Obama administration. That's just corrupt at its core. Now, I am sure that I think it's Comey who's signing off on this, Rosenstein, McCabe. They must have known where this phony dossier came from. They must have known it was financed by Hillary Clinton. They must have known that this guy was not a straight shooter, Chris Steele, and they hid that information from the judge. That really implicates them, doesn't it?
It does. And essentially what they were doing was signing off on the fruits of a poison tree.
Yep.
And the fact that we could have these high-level judges on the FISA court being left in the dark when they are making these grave decisions about classified information.
I put some of this on the judges, though. I mean, shouldn't the judges be a little bit more aggressive and kind of poking holes and, is this established? Where did this come from? Or are they just blindly signing off? That's a good question.
I think that these are great questions that really need to be laid bare in congressional investigations, because I'm not going to make an assumption one way or the other of what they should have known if these high-level FBI officials were doing everything they could to keep them in the dark about it.
So the big picture now, this is determined through the memo that Hillary paid for the spying on the Trump campaign and was in cahoots with the Obama administration and the media on gaining this type of surveillance power. What does it say now about the Mueller investigation? Is it based on a lie? As you said, is it poisoned from the core? What does this tell us about the larger Russia investigation, in your opinion? Well,
I think that there's a cancer that has metastasized here of this twin corruption, as I said, between our core intelligence agencies, the trust that we have in Mueller to lead an investigation like this, and, of course, the mainstream media to cover it. They're supposed to be investigative watchdogs when they are, in fact, acting as lapdogs in shopping around all of this faulty information. I think another fundamental question that has to be raised and answered is how many other FISA warrants and applications were based on this kind of...
We're hearing from congressional sources that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
No question.
Okay, and I believe, people said, the memo was just hyped up. It was a little hyped up, but I believe it was hyped up for a reason, because this is very, very serious stuff. Now, Michelle, we love having you on to talk about immigration because it's something you're so passionate about. The president brought up something at the State of the Union where he talked about these MS-13 murders. Some teenagers were killed in Long Island, and he had the parents there as guests. The Democrats were kind of uneasy when he talked about this. According to Joy Reid, though, who reacted to this is what she said. Roll it.
She makes it sound like the biggest issue in the United States, the biggest threat is MS-13, a gang nobody that doesn't watch Fox News has ever heard of. So it makes it sound like they're the biggest threat.
Okay, so MSNBC doesn't think MS-13 is a big deal. They think MS-13 is only covered on Fox. And the family members who were at the State of the Union were very upset by the Democrats who were groaning and very upset at MSNBC for downplaying the threat. They had their daughters killed.
Yeah, that's right. I think this is a shining example of liberal media privilege, MSNBC privilege. I've been covering the spread of MS-13 and the 18th Street Barrio and all of these illegal alien gangs, the violence that they have wrought, not just against Fox News viewers as if it's some sort of fantasy, but like the families that Donald Trump honored. These are minority families. They're black, they're brown, they're yellow.
I thought Black Lives Matter.
Right.
If Black Lives Matter, the people on the Democrat side should be outraged and clapping and standing and supporting these black parents who, lost their daughters at the hands of these gang members.
But, one of the things that the State of the Union address did was expose the true colors of so many of these monstrous progressives. Not only did they attack the families of the victims of MS-13 crime, but the way they belittled the North Korean defector. Do you know that there was a progressive writer who likened him to North Korea's, quote, tiny Tim? What planet do these people live on? Where along the way did they delete their souls?
I don't know. And I was saying the other day on the 5, the guy that defected, that's real resistance. Real resistance is not wearing a funny hat or sitting on your hands and not clapping. That guy's a real hero. All right, Michelle, thank you very much.
You bet.
Diamond and Silk are back. Stay tuned.
7 at Channel 115.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Alicia Acuna. Actress Uma Thurman is the latest Hollywood star to accuse Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault. The Golden Globe winner told the New York Times the disgraced producer assaulted her in a London hotel after the release of the 1994 hit movie Pulp Fiction. Weinstein was a producer on that movie. His spokeswoman told the Times the producer apologized to Thurman for making a, quote, awkward pass at her and denied the assault claim. President Trump spending the weekend at his Mar-a-Lago resort home in Florida, his motorcade seen making its way through West Palm Beach on Saturday. The president and first lady leave behind a Washington that's abuzz over the declassified FISA memo released yesterday. The memo claims that the FBI and Justice Department abused their power in investigating the Trump campaign. I'm Alicia Acuna. Now back to Watters World.
All right, more on the memo. Here we are. We're going to have our video bloggers and outspoken Trump supporters, Diamond and Silk, respond. All right, so ladies, this memo came out. They've bastardized the Department of Justice and the FBI to help Hillary and to hurt Trump. A lot of illegal spying going on, all based on a lie. What do you guys think?
You know, the very fake news has some explaining to do.
That's right.
The fact that they took this dossier, put this stuff in the media to spread fake news, even took this dossier and they took this here as a basis to spy on the now president of the United States. Somebody need to be held accountable. And what I say is they don't need to pass go. Don't collect $200. Some people need to go to jail for this.
To jail.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny because, you know, the axe is going to fall, and I think people are going to get locked up. And I don't believe it's going to be Donald Trump. I believe it's going to be people on the other side. Now, this week, Maxine Waters issued one of the 5 Democratic responses to the President's State of the Union, in which the President called for unity, but in her own rhetoric and actions, those are the real ones fanning the flames of divisiveness in the country. Let's hear what she had to say.
One speech cannot and does not make Donald Trump presidential. He is a dangerous, unprincipled, divisive, and shameful racist. RT, which is Russian television, absolutely interfered with speech of mine on the floor of Congress and blacked me out for 10 minutes.
What?
They don't play.
I've been adopted by millennials, and they, refer to me as Auntie Maxine, and I want to be an enabler.
With this kind of inspiration, I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Ladies, so Mad Maxine wants to take Trump out. She's saying the Russians are conspiring against her. What do you think about Mad Maxine?
I think that she has a serious problem.
That's right.
You know, for her to be a representative of people, it seemed like that she's only representing her own agenda to bash someone, and she should be bashing herself. She is the one that lives in a $4.6 million mansion on a $174,000 salary. She hasn't done anything for her district. She have those people riding dirty while she's living high off the hall.
That's right.
That's what she should have been talking about. And then I heard that she mentioned something about censoring our president. She needs to be censored. We need to put a message up there to vote her out. Because why is she even in office? She's doing nothing for her district. You know, Steve Scalise was there. He took a bullet, he bounced back, and he was able to stand there to represent his district. Shame on Maxine Waters.
That's right.
Nothing is wrong with you, but you wasn't even there for the people you're supposed to represent.
And it is black people, so-called black leaders like Maxine Waters, that keep black people segregated and stuck in the pains of their ancestors just to control them so they can have control over them and not allow them to have this opportunity of being part of the American dream. Shame on Maxine and other black individuals that call themselves leaders.
I just can't believe she's got a $4.6 million mansion. I mean, I gotta do what Maxine's doing. I'm in the wrong line of work. Let me ask you, this was really offensive, ladies. Melania came out at the State of the Union. She looked as beautiful as she always looked. She was wearing a gorgeous white outfit. But over at CNN, who the president likes to call fake news, here was their analysis. Roll it.
Is there anything you want to tell us about her outfit?
You know, she's wearing a cream-colored suit there, which I find interesting. Remember last year, the female Democratic senators all wore white, a bunch of them to protest Trump's policies against women. So there was even a hashtag, women wear white. Listen, it could be a total coincidence, but I just find a lot of the stuff she does these days to look at it twice.
All right, you have about 30 seconds left, ladies. They're basically saying at CNN, Melania is part of the Me Too movement, and she's protesting her own husband, who's president. Go ahead.
Melania, our first lady, was wearing something beautiful because she have class and she know how to wear it.
That's right.
I want the suit, okay? She's not part of no movement. She's part of the Make America Great Again movement. That's what she's part of.
All right, well, you guys would look great in that white suit, but you guys look great as always. And it was great seeing you down there at the State of the Union. And keep going with what you're doing. And the tour is hot. And everybody's signing up for the tour. That's right. Go check it out.
Yes.
All right, Diamond and Silk, everybody. We'll be right back.
Yeah, we got the fire, and we're gonna let it burn, burn, burn.
A renewed cry to lock her up coming from President Trump, pointing out a double standard in the government's treatment of Hillary Clinton for her reckless handling of classified materials. While others have paid dearly for what they say are similar, even lesser offenses, the president recently tweeting, crooked Hillary Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, has been accused of disregarding basic security protocols. She put classified passwords into the hands of foreign agents. Remember sailors' pictures on submarine? Jail. Deep State Justice Department must finally act. Also on Comey and others. Joining me now, a Fox News exclusive, the sailor the president was referring to, former Navy machinist Christian Saucier. All right, so Christian, you took some photographs of a submarine and then just threw them out, and they were deemed, I believe, confidential, which is the lowest level of classification. Yet, you were prosecuted and ended up going to prison. How do you feel about Hillary not?
Well, I think it's a blatant proof of the double standard of justice within this country and how the FBI and the Department of Justice were weaponized under the Obama administration to go after conservatives like myself and General Flynn while letting, unpatriotic liberals like Hillary Clinton and her aides skate. And it's just very upsetting. I think it should be upsetting for all American people that we're held to a different standard than crooked politicians.
Okay, so you are actually not in a studio right now because your parole or probation officer says you can't go to a studio. You're wearing an ankle bracelet. That's how serious they're taking this. Yet Hillary Clinton, I think, had top secret classification on her materials. Yet Comey came out and said that no reasonable prosecutor would bring a case, but they brought a case against you. How do you feel about that?
It's very true. I watched all those speeches that Comey gave, and it was while I was through my legal battles. And I said, well, I know a prosecutor that would bring it against somebody for far lesser. Mine was confidential. There was never any argument that I had nefarious intent or that I had intent to cause national harm. That's not a requirement for the law that they prosecuted me under. So it's not the requirement for Hillary. Gross negligence is enough to break that law. I basically possessed classified images on an unsecured device, my cell phone, and that was breaking the law by unlawful retention of national defense information, which is exactly what Hillary Clinton did on a much larger scale with much more secure information, and nothing happened to her.
All right, so when you hear reports about these text messages going on between FBI agents and the memo that we're seeing come out that shows that Department of Justice officials, FBI officials had worked to let Hillary skate while at the same time going very hard against Donald Trump and using lies to justify that investigation. What do you think as a guy that's just a machinist working on a submarine? How does that make you feel?
Well, I think it's very upsetting that somebody like myself who served, 2 deployments to the Middle East, who proudly gave 11 years of their life in service to this country, had their life destroyed for something so minor, while Hillary Clinton clearly broke the law. That was what the law was written to prosecute people under, was for people like her, not for people like me. And lied to the FBI, lied to the American people, and absolutely nothing's happening to her. Earl Flynn made a mistake, and his life was destroyed as well. And he's a patriotic American who served our country. What has Hillary Clinton ever done but, steal from the American people and lie to us? But she's given the benefit of the doubt because Andrew McCabe's wife, is a friend of hers and took money from her. It's very upsetting the more I read about it and the more I see. While through mine, and I saw the tarmac meeting between the head of the Department of Justice and Target of Investigation's spouse. That should have said to all the American people. It's very upsetting the way that justice is doled out in this country.
Right. Well, if you do the crime, you got to do the time. It's just there's a double standard for justice in this country. And perhaps the president will commute your sentence or give you some sort of pardon situation. And he watches Water's World, so, that could be an opportunity to make things right. But, Christian, thank you very much for your service, and hopefully everything works out in your favor in the long run, all right?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
All right, another Tom Brady controversy on the eve of the Super Bowl. That's next. Super Bowl 52, Eagles versus Patriots. Tom Brady in the news for something that has nothing to do with football. Here's video of him and his son.
What's up?
Oh, hello. I was wondering if I could check my fantasy team.
What do I get?
You know, Jack, everything comes at a cost, bud.
That was like a peck.
Who's your fantasy quarterback, Jack?
Not
Cam
his
Newton.
dad.
Cam Newton.
Not his
That was a
dad.
good game.
Good.
Joining me now is diehard Patriots fan Dave Portnoy, also the founder of Barstool Sports, which has taken over the universe. All right, Dave, listen, it's obviously a very loving family. I'm not going to judge anybody's, family situation. Everybody that saw the video just thinks the kiss lingered a little long. What do you think about it?
Well, Deflategate, Spygate, whenever the Super Bowl is around the corner, people look for controversies. Parisian culture, you kiss each other in the cheek. My family, we call each other cousins. It's just a loving family. A lot of people don't even have dads, and we're worried about a dad that shows too much love. I think it's garbage. Okay, so he's married to Giselle. She's Brazilian. You think it might be a cultural situation? Absolutely. This is just a family showing love. I mean, there's no story here. Again, it's a distraction. Okay, so obviously you're not paying any mind to it, and I don't think Tom is either. I want to show a map of the country. All right, everybody take a look at this. I think the entire country is pulling for the Philadelphia Eagles here, except some states in New England and North Dakota. Now, North Dakota, Dave, I don't understand because Carson Wentz, the injured Eagles quarterback, went to school there. What's it like to just have everybody rooting against you guys? We're used to it. I mean, they hate us because they ain't us. I think it's sad. I think it's a sad state for America. I think the Patriots should be the model franchise for everybody. They work hard. They never take anything for granted. They show up day in and day out. And also, I know there's a lot of Eagle fans that won't like this, but, I mean, Philly fans are trash. So I think it's really sad that this amount of people will be rooting for Philadelphia. Well, I'm a Philly fan. I grew up in Philly, so I'm going to try to ignore that. I'm not trash, but I was down at the NFC Championship game. I definitely saw some ugly things, but you know what? I call it passion. Let me talk to you about something I caught I think someone put a Tom Brady jersey on the Rocky statue. Let's see if we could get a look at that. Now, if you're a Philly fan, I mean, there's going to be blood in the streets. Do you guys really think that that was a good idea, poking the bear like that? Well, we're the bear. So, I mean, if anybody's getting poked, we would be the bear. I don't think the Eagles are the bear in this situation. Okay. No, I mean, poking the bear, you'd have to wake the giant. We're the giant. Okay. I liked it. It's a little gamesmanship, whatever you're going to do about it. I wouldn't put it on there. Maybe you're provoking the bear in the sense that you may get punched in the face by a Philly trash, but, I wouldn't have done it, but I still think it was funny. Dave, I just hope you have a lot of security when you're out at the Super Bowl. I just think you better just keep maybe 2-3 security guards to watch your back. Now, here's what I think the keys to the game are. Obviously you want to keep Brady off the field. Eagles have to dominate time of possession, make sure they win the turnover battle. Listen,
Foles has to have a great game, that's clear. But if they can run the ball against the Patriots defense hasn't had a great time stopping the run. And then on our side of the ball, you want to hit Brady as hard as you can. Our front four is pretty good. And our linebackers have to cover your guys. Out of the backfield, you know he's going to dink and dump. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's going to be a good game. I think the Eagles are pretty good. I actually predicted these two teams would meet when Wentz was still healthy. So I think Foles has to play well. But in the end, we have Brady, we have Belichick, and it generally ends up in our favor. So barring some sort of like travesty, like an earthquake or something, I just don't know how the Patriots lose this game.
All right, well, listen, a lot of people said Donald Trump wasn't going to be elected president, and that was pretty earth-shattering. So anything can happen, Dave, and I wish you luck out there. Try not to get punched, okay?
Thank you. I'll watch my back.
All right. Last call up next.